I see a bunch of people funneling through here from the waiting room. Hey, Eric.
How's it going?
Hey, thanks for stepping in and kind of joining us on the webinar. It's going to be fun to talk about this integration between Render and JobTread. I think the solution has definitely piqued a lot of interest over the past couple of weeks since we made the announcement at JobTread Connect, and I can't thank you guys enough for getting a lot of work done really quickly to have that up and out the door for the Connect event. It was a wonderful time to kind of explore that with a lot of your customers, and I think we've gotten a lot of interest, which is why we wanted to host this webinar today to kind of just walk people through. And if you're just joining us, welcome, welcome. We're going to use this 45 minutes to kind of walk through a little bit about the Render platform, just kind of introduce it to those who may be watching. We are recording this, so if you are already a Render customer, the first couple of minutes might be a little boring because you're like, yes, AJ, I already know all these things about Render. But if you are a Render customer, definitely drop a line in the chat, say hello, let me know where you are. But we'll spend a few minutes just to kind of walk through some of the Render benefits that you can receive from that, and then I quickly want to pivot over to how Render works with JobTread. We'll kind of go over a few things: how to link your account, how to sync things over, including parameters, and how best to use those parameters inside your cost groups so they can help you estimate your jobs faster. We're going to open it up for some Q&A towards the tail end of this, maybe about a half an hour in, and answer any questions that you guys might have as far as best practices or different things that you might be seeing on your side. Feel free to pipe in and let people know how you are using the parameters as well. But if that sounds like a good plan to everyone, oh, chat is disabled. I can fix that. Give me a second, guys. Technical difficulties, right? So the Q&A is open, but the chat is disabled. Let's see. I might not be able to spend the time to figure out how to enable the chat from this stage. So if you guys are seeing the chat is disabled, feel free to drop in the Q&As. Just send me a message and I'll keep an eye on that. But just to introduce you guys a little bit to Render, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and that way you can see I have a JobTread screen open here, and on the side is my phone. So just a quick introduction to Render. Render is an application that's going to help you scan and create digital floor plans of interior spaces instantly on your device. It's a beautiful tool that we've been able to deliver to design build companies, interior remodelers, kitchen and bath companies across the globe. Unfortunately, if you are an exteriors renovator, deck companies, pool company, hardscaper, we do not currently have a tool for you. So I apologize for that. This is a tool primarily for the guys that are inside dealing with interior spaces, kitchens, baths, basements, and even additions. Uh, this tool uses LiDAR in iOS-based devices, so iPhone Pros, iPad Pros, and it's using that LiDAR sensor to quickly gauge the measurements in any interior space, and it's mapping it out right in front of your eyes. I won't display the video for you guys to actually see that in motion, but we have a ton of stuff on our YouTube page, and I'll also drop an email out to everybody who registered if they want to sign up for a demo with our team. We can kind of show you in live form how that looks. But ultimately, we have the ability to capture all these spaces. I'll kind of just open one up here. Let's see. Once again, technical difficulties. Let's reconnect my phone here. It's funny, I had all of this worked out in my practice session right before we started here. Just going to reconnect my phone here. So yeah, here we go. So as you guys can see, we digitally map out the entire space. It gives you a floor plan. It's all interactive. So you can actually make this a little larger. You can zoom in on particular spaces. You can kind of see the wall uh, letters come up as well as all the measurements will appear as well. And we're giving you drop downs for all of your wall elevations. And capturing, again, all of this is in real time. This is captured on your phone within seconds of you taking a render and moving around the space. And we're capturing all of the information from the space too. Here, so here's a list of all the parameters that we are currently displaying on your device. And we'll show you how to best leverage these inside of JobTread here in a moment. For all you design builds and kitchen and bath companies, we get this question often, what do we have in terms of pulling this information into CAD software? You can kind of see this export button up here. It can allow you to do just that. You can export a PDF, something that you can sketch on, draw on a tablet, which is really convenient when you're on site. We also have the ability to export it to 2020, and this creates a living plan inside of inside of 2020 instantly. So if you use that button, we have some tutorials on our website to show you how to work that. We'll also follow up with some clickable demos. Chief Architect and others are handled through our DXF exporter here. This gets you a line drawing in any CAD software. And if this bottom one here, CAD walls is turned on, that's what's helping our Chief Architect customers get plans from Render inside of Chief Architect in a matter of 30 seconds. You can have all your walls, windows, and doors ready for your designers to begin designing. Pretty soon, we'll have a pretty integrated solution for our let me back out of here. We'll have a direct integration with Chief Architect coming for all you Chief Architect users out there. My own design build company is Chief Architect. I can't wait to turn this button live here. This is going to be a direct integration where you'll be able to save a Chief Architect room file directly out of Render. So it's even more time savings for you guys. Well, let's talk about JobTread, right? So, Eric, you're with me today. So we'll talk about how this integration is helping design builds, kitchen and bath companies, general contractors. I mean, you name it. All interior remodelers are using this integration for one of a few different ways, and we'll talk about a few cases here when we get into the budgeting component. But really, just to start the conversation off, we're seeing design build companies use this to price design agreement ballparks. Building ballpark cost groups for quickly budgeting out specific types of projects. We're seeing companies use these for quicker change orders. One of our features here in Render is that you can invite somebody else outside of your office to actually do the scan for you. So you can invite a homeowner to scan. We'll show you that here in JobTread. And you can also invite a project manager to scan as well. This is something that we do with my own design build. We can actually invite a project manager on site if a homeowner says, "Hey, I love what you guys are doing with the first floor. We'd love to have you guys paint and do flooring upstairs in all of our bedrooms." We can invite the project manager on site. He can scan it, and then that information is back at my office, and our office personnel can actually put together a change order for that pretty quickly using the JobTread parameters. So a couple different ways that you can leverage it. And we'll kind of show you those here. But just to get started, show you guys how this actually works. If you are a Render customer, you will basically want to just navigate over to inside your dashboard here in your settings tab. There's this button for integrations. If you have linked your QuickBooks or so forth, you're pretty familiar with this. And you'll want to find Render here in the integrations tab. I'm just going to open this up, and down at the bottom, you'll see a note. You can see that I've already linked my Render account to my JobTread account here. But you'll have a button to do that. It'll ask you to log into Render, and you'll give it permission to share all the data. Once you do that, your integration's live. That's basically all you have to do. Now, when you're in your Jobs tabs, you'll see a Manage Render Spaces button that pops up on all your job dashboards. And this is where the integration gets really fun. If you click on that button here, we'll just walk through one simple case here, and then I'll go to the Budget tab and show you what I've done with the parameters. So for this particular job, Patterson Kitchen, you can see that all I did was click Manage Render Spaces. And if I type in Patterson Kitchen here, I'm going to add this to the job. It takes just a second, and this parameters button is highlighted here. This gives you all of the parameters, the list of them that we found inside of that render scan that we'll want to make available for your budget tab inside of JobTread. I'm just going to go ahead and import all of those, and we'll say that that is done. Now, if I hop over to my budget tab, I'll show you that I have a couple of templates here. Update kitchen, kitchen remodel. If I just select kitchen remodel, I have an estimate that is already created. Now I can expand all of this and show you that inside of this kitchen, I have a lot of particular cost items that I would want to enter a quantity or a price for. And this is where I think a lot of contractors get hung up is, do I have to use parameters for everything inside the estimate, or can I just use it for specific things? And the answer is both, right? So I will show you some flooring and paint templates where we use parameters for everything. But in this case, there may be things that parameters will never inform. Different jurisdictions have different price points for permitting, and we may do flat fees for specific things, right? But you can see here that there are a few items that are being informed by a render parameter. And how we do this is that we're actually saving the render parameter and pointing that cost item to look at that parameter in a budget template. So I'll show you that here on in your catalog. Let's save that changes there. Let's go to our catalog. Now, this is where we're going to make a couple of these downloadable for all of you guys who are on the call. We will be sending these out. And of course, if you guys end up with better templates, we want to know about it. Send us your templates, export them, send them to me. Say, hey, AJ, I've got a better one than that crappy one that you showed on that webinar. Because what we want to do is we want to make this something that we can share with a lot of other contractors that are in our space to help everyone be successful. All right, so if you guys come up with good templates, send them my way. I'm sure Eric and his team over there at JobTread would love to see them as well. Because the more that we can share a lot of this information back and get inspired about how other contractors are actually using this integration to help them estimate faster, the more we're all going to succeed. I mean, if you guys were at JobTread Connect, you heard Eric's keynote session on Rising Tide Lifts All Ships, right? We want to kind of help facilitate that type of environment among you guys. But let's take a look here. So in this cost group on these templates here, I actually pulled a few. If Peter Rainey is on this call, I actually downloaded a couple of these templates from Peter Rainey because he gave me a head start on doing this. So thank you, Peter, for these. So let's go ahead and look at the kitchen remodel. Inside of this template, you see that we have all of our items from demo all the way through the tail end of this project, painting and appliances. Now, if we expand these, I basically take a look inside of this estimate and say, what can I use a render parameter for? So you're going to ask me what render parameters are available. These are all the render parameters that are available here. So let's get rid of the Gemini here. Goodness gracious. I don't know what's going on with my... I don't want that. Why did that do that? Yeah, let's try to do this. Okay. So here's all my render parameters. These are all of the specific things that we're piping through and making available inside of your JobTread job, right? So as I'm looking through my template, I'm picking out specific things that I have unit pricing for. If you don't have unit pricing for much, think about all of the things that you're able to actually build unit pricing for. Demo, you might do in man hours or man days. But if you think about the size and scope of a particular space that you were able to, demo, say a kitchen, and you're able to look at a couple kitchens back to back to back and say, how much time did I actually have developed in demoing these particular jobs? You can start to do the math and figure out, okay, unit pricing on this, I'm about $1.50 a square foot demoing my floor. 600 bucks. It cost me $900 to demo that floor, right? So you can actually start doing the math and coming up with the unit pricing so that you can leverage more and more render parameters. But you can see here, we have demo for kitchen cabinetry is using our linear feet of cabinets as a formula. So we have linear feet of base cabinets plus linear feet of wall cabinets. Just scroll down and show you a few of these under cabinet lighting. Linear feet of wall cabinets is how our electrician gives us this price. We're gonna have a linear feet of how much under cabinet lighting we use. So what do you think we use for that? We use linear feet of wall cabinets. So all I'm doing here in these quantity formulas is I'm copying pasting a particular parameter here and just pasting it. When I select edit formula, I'm pasting it right here in this quantity formula. If you select this, you can make this an equation here. So I could use multiple parameters for the calculation, similar to how I'm doing it down here for my cabinet allowance. Again, design builds are going to ask me this question all the time. Well, AJ, we're redesigning this space, so I'm not going to be able to use the cabinets that are currently in this render space, right? It's the existing space, because we're adding an island, we're adding all these things. Once again, let me remind you, you don't have to use parameters for everything in this estimate. If you are doing a rip and replace remodel, it would make sense to use the linear feet of cabinets and square footage of countertops to come up with these prices early on. And you can always adjust these too. You can make them a formula like 1 times 1.1 if you want to add particular amounts for waste. We do this for flooring. So on these parameters, you can see we have all these TBDs are all pulling a specific render parameter. So when I drop this template in and use it for a job, it's going to point to that particular scan and say, okay, go ahead and give me that quantity. Hopefully that's making sense for everybody. Eric, I don't know if I'm talking pretty fast here, but I don't know if you want to pipe in on anything that I may be missing, or I'll show a couple more examples of this.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is good, and I would encourage people just like you did earlier to really think about, how can you come up with your production rates, your unit pricing, like understanding like what does everything cost you. If it's not, piecemeal, then like again, looking at like like AJ said, how long did it take us to do the demo? And if you can have a couple jobs where you can start to compare that, you can find your average, because maybe you want to actually have this converted to something else. Like you can use the unit cost formulas as well as the unit price formulas, in addition to just this quantity here. But I think it's really important that you take the time to do this because this is going to help you know your numbers. And ultimately, this is what lets you just like streamline the whole estimating process extremely accurately by taking that data from render and automatically applying it to jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about these things too. Obviously, electricians sometimes will give us specific pricing catalogs, right? So they'll say that it'll cost X amount for installing an outlet in a kitchen, switches, recessed lights. There are ways you can establish unit pricing for those things as well. We know based on code how many outlets we're going to need per linear foot inside of a kitchen space. And then again, you can just divide and conquer. You can use the perimeter of that space and divide it by three or whatever the amount is to get you that number of outlets per linear foot in the perimeter of that space. So you can get really creative with how these are pulling in. I think there's some confusion oftentimes to say, well, hey, look, these parameters. What if I have a different price for a two-piece crown versus one-piece crown? Well, if you think about it, we're not giving you a linear feet of crown molding. We're giving you a linear feet of perimeter. So you can actually say, okay, well, a two-piece crown, you'll save a if you have crown molding in here that's $12 a linear foot installed, but you're $17 a linear foot installed for a two-piece. Well, you're going to have two different cost items. You have one cost item for a single piece crown with a perimeter as your parameter, right? Times $12 a linear foot. And for your two-piece, it'll still use the same perimeter, but it's going to be multiplying it against a different price because it's a two-piece crown versus the one-piece crown. And that's how people are leveraging these specific parameters. Again, the parameters that we have listed here, we try to get a little bit more of the numbers out that we often use, right? So when we're talking about drywall point up, well, we have at Cornerstone, my design build company, we have a specific price. I think it's $1.50 or $2, just for wall square footage for just patch and point up. We just want to make sure we're going through the walls, patching any holes and so forth. Um, we'll use wall surface area somewhere in here. Yeah, wall surface area. This is something that we can use to apply against our drywall patch and point up. Paintable wall surface area, or sorry, paintable surface area is going to be all of the walls inside of that space multiplied by their elevations. So we're getting multiple elevations, right? So we're getting vaulted ceilings. So we'll capture all of that data and we'll also add in the ceiling surface area as well. So if you work with a production painter who says, I'm going to charge you $1.30 per square foot of every surface that I touch, well, guess what? Render does the math for you. So if you scan a space and sync it with your job inside of JobTread, you can just say, hey, anytime I use my production painter for a job and pull that into my budget, that production painter unit price is $1.30 multiplied by a render parameter called paintable surface area. Sorry, I use different parameters in my own head. Paintable surface area, and that's going to spit out your quote a heck of a lot faster. Let me show you just another option, and then I'll probably pause and try to sift through some of our chat so we can kind of look at some questions that are coming through here. So, painters and flooring guys out there, let's take a look at what this could look like. Let's say that we want to let's say Sunrise Court. Say this particular customer, I'm a painter, right? And I'm going to just give them a price for painting a job. Let me show you how easy we just made this for painters. We're going to manage render space and we're going to sync, let's see, Sunrise Court. Let's add this to the job. Of course, my internet's running a little slow because of the webinar, I'm sure. So we're going to import all of our parameters. And I have on my budget tab here, I have a group for painting. This is just going to spit out a painting number. So uh, once I select this, it says, okay, my cost to paint this space is $2,800. So AD, that's not really impressive for me. All right, so let's go back here. Let's create another one. Let's create another job. And let me show you, let me just use me as a customer here. Let's use a bigger space. So let's go ahead and use this Airbnb I stayed at just in Salt Lake just a few days ago. I think it's a roughly 2,000 square foot condo, right? So we're going to go ahead and add that, add all these parameters. And let me resume and I'll show you this space here. I did see one question pop up in the chat. The PDFs are not coming through. The PDFs are not coming through yet. This is something that the render team is working on, making sure that when you sync a render space, your PDF floor plan will show up as a file inside of JobTread. So give that a few days or a few weeks here. We're going to have that up and operational for you guys. Right now, you can see as we sync this space, I don't have any photos saved in this particular one, but the photos would show up here. But as you can see, this is a rather large space. It's a four-bedroom condo. Roughly, let's see, 2,100 square feet. So painter, would obviously have to work through the details on figuring out how much the space is going to cost to paint. But let's go ahead and go into my budget tab and use my paint template for this guy. See, it's $8,300. And as I expand this, it is using my paint prep is based on square footage. I'm just covering floors up. So I use the square footage of that space for that unit price. But I'm using paintable surface area to come up with my material and my labor for this particular estimate. And you saw how quick that was. It's giving me a price. Now I could call my painter up and say, hey, would you do this job for $8,300? Send them the floor plan and say, yeah, that sounds about right. Because again, we're computing all of those numbers for you guys at a drop of a hat. We have the same thing for flooring, a couple different budget templates in here. But again, let me just go to this catalog and pause here for a moment while we sift through some of our Q&A. You can save a ton of different catalogs here. So when we look at a bathroom remodel, I didn't pull this one through, but you can kind of see that we have, again, specific items here that we may charge fixed prices for. And then we're going to look at specific items, demos per square foot. One tip here, I'll leave you guys with this one, and we'll make this template available. Your vanity lights, mirrors, and faucets, they're based on how many sinks are in the space, generally speaking. If you have a two sink vanity, you're going to need two lights, two mirrors. Well, one of our parameters that we are exporting into JobTread is number of sinks. So we can actually use that one to dictate how many vanity lights and how many mirrors that we're going to need as far as our allowances are concerned. So it's going to automatically compute those things as well. So again, I'd love to hear how you guys end up using some of these parameters, but in a nutshell, that's about how it works. So Eric, are you able to see the Q&A?
You can.
All right, it looks like we have a lot of these. Maybe we could tag team some here. Hey, Philip, I don't know if you're still on, but I just saw your message here. Um, I see a couple questions regarding our CAD integrations. Just a reminder, so we have a direct integration with 2020, another direct integration with Chief Architect through the DXF, and that one's about to get enhanced. But with all of the other CAD softwares out on the market, the DXF file will import into those softwares. AutoCAD, Revit, SketchUp, Pro Kitchen, SoftPlan, I mean, you name it. What we'd like to see is more and more integrations. So as our customers are asking for these more one-stop shop type of integration where you can just sync the scan and it's automatically built for you, the next ones up on our list are going to be SketchUp and Revit. Those two are already underway, and we're looking at companies like Pro Kitchen. I know a lot of DreamMaker companies are using Pro Kitchen, so they kind of have been asking for that integration as well. The chief architect integration is, trust me, there's no one who wants this integration more than me for two reasons. One, for render, and also two, for my own design build company. That one is we're shooting for the end of February. By IBS, we'd love to have something live for you guys on that. Um, so it looks like I answered a lot of those AutoCAD ones. Eric, do you see any in here that might be up your alley for answering?
So I see the Alex is asking, I did create a sample job with the render integration. However, when I hit the manage render in JobTread, it did not export a floor plan. When you click on the render file, it gives a blank screen. So I imagine that was a particular file type that we're just not able to render in JobTread. So possibly that was the issue there. Um, it did allow you to upload the parameters into the plan page, but with no associated floor plan. So, I think this is what, we're needing to do some additional work to be able to hook up this, basically the floor plans directly into the job tread plan. So hopefully we can get that in the future added. But all of the parameters that you import into into your budget, those will also automatically show up in the plans tab.
Yes. There's also a question from Brian that says he does not see the report button in his render. Hey, Brian, I'd love to see you around. I know you're a good render customer here. Yes, update the app. If you don't see the render on this render screen, this reports tab, it means that you do not have the latest version. So if you want to go ahead and update that, you'll have access to the reports tab. That information is still going to be accessible through JobTread, so you'll still have the parameters there. But if you'd like to view those on your device, just make sure that you are updated to the most recent update. And also, Philip's asking if we can share the list of parameters. Yes, we're gonna have a lot of resources for you guys. We are working on an actual JobTread page for our website. It's going to have a ton of material. It's going to have some clickable demos, so that if you have a team working underneath of you and you don't feel like teaching them how to do this, we'll have some clickable demos that you can share with them. We'll have a list of all the parameters to make it easy to copy and paste. We'll also have some of these budget templates saved and downloadable for you guys to use as well. But we'll make sure that we're sending an email follow-up to anybody who's registered to this webinar with a couple of those things in advance of us having that web page up and live.
Yeah, we probably should publish them on the help desk article. So if you go to the help desk down there and you search for render, there is a video. I believe it may be the same video that's on the integrations page. But yeah, we need to publish these directly in the JobTread help desk page as well. I think the thing is, I assume there will be more parameters continuing to come, and so figuring out a way to sort of, keep that updated, or maybe we even link to a page that you guys host at render
Yeah.
.com, so we could sort of have a good ongoing list for everyone.
And what a great segue to answer one question and talk about the next iteration of this is that, sometimes, so Tyler says sometimes customers want to paint a single wall in a room or maybe just a special finish. And also, there may be only specific rooms that someone may want to do something in. Like we might just want to do flooring in the kitchen and breakfast room, but paint the entire first floor. So I think this is where the next iteration of the job tread and the render integration is going to get really fun. We're going to introduce this idea of room-based parameters. It's going to work really well for you guys to go into your JobTread job and select specific rooms that you'd like to have uh, in a particular formula. So this is going to be really helpful for you guys who are doing multiple different types of things and rooms throughout the house. And then this will also work with the takeoff tool. If I'm correct, our PDF, when that gets uploaded into JobTread, you'll be able to use the takeoff tool to do some of these really fun custom formulas for specific items throughout your entire project, especially on the front end if you're a design build company who is going to be doing the final estimate on the newly designed space. If you want to outfit your design team, your salespeople, with the ability to take the render floor plan and just basically estimate the space and overall how much it's going to cost to actually renovate it so that you can offer a ballpark for your clients, there are specific budget exercises that you can do to provide low and high end numbers for a lot of various things throughout JobTread. I mean, you can do this for flooring, for paint, for cabinets and countertops. And if you have salespeople that are sometimes missing the mark on those ballparks up front, you can really play around with these templates and see, can I give my salespeople, my designers, the ability to ballpark a project early on using the render parameters of the as-built space? And then, of course, when you get that space designed and then you upload those floor plans, then you can start to to use a takeoff tool to actually build a formal estimate based on the newly designed space. So kudos to you and your team, Eric. I think your takeoff tool is phenomenal. The way that you guys put that together, it's really exciting.
Yeah, one other thing, if you go back over into JobTread there, so if you click back on the manage the render spaces, and let's go into the so one neat thing, if did you already import one?
I did have
You
one. Yeah.
can
Would you
go
like
ahead
me to
and add
show
it.
the parameters with the
Yeah.
prefix?
Yep.
So I just added this. So you guys can see I'm in the render bathroom. I added the render bathroom to this particular space. So if we say to add the prefix, this prefix up here is just going to pull the space name and put that ahead of the parameters. So this will actually help you organize them. Gosh, we can do let's do this one and another one here as well. Let's just do let's say a loft space here. I'll add this one too, and I'll add the prefix on here. Now, when you go over to your budget tab, you can see here, I'll just do, let's just say
You can even
we're,
just click on the parameters right there.
oh yeah,
Uh,
right, right.
yeah, right. Yeah, so this is where they're now all prefixed so that you can kind of see all the different parameters for those, for those different rooms.
You have all of your office and dog. It's funny, I named it that because my dog is usually right behind me. You have all your office ones and, of course, all your loft square footages here as well. So if we wanted to, uh, for a particular line item, to have it reference, so this is referencing the original project that I put in here without the prefix, but we could edit this and say we want that original one, plus we want the loft paintable surface area, plus we want the office paintable surface area as well, because we're going to paint all three of those rooms. And you can see, whoops. I don't know what I did there. Plus office, paintable surface area. Okay. So you can see that it calculated those numbers automatically because I added all three rooms together. And that's the power of using that prefix. And that'll be similar to how you're going to be importing parameters with the room-based parameters enhanced upgrade that we're going to be offering to JobTread customers here pretty soon. Hopefully that was where you were going with that conversation,
Yep.
Eric.
Yep. Looks like you got asked, are you going to be at KBIS, IBS,
Yes, we
KBIS?
are. We are. So we will be at KBIS. We will be, I don't know the booth number, but maybe I'll follow up and let you guys know. If you guys are going to be out of Vegas, JobShed's going to be out in Vegas, and they're a heck of a lot of fun. We already know this. And then Render's going to have a booth inside KBIS, so just about, oh my gosh, probably like a half a mile from you guys, but I was going to say right around the corner in West Hall. And
Nice.
we'll be there demoing Render and maybe popping over to our JobTread booth from time to time to chat with you guys. Let's see, what else? What other kind of Q&A do we have here?
So
We have a couple
can
minutes left here.
can you use render without any other design software?
Yes, you can use Render. You don't have to have. I'll probably answer this in two different ways that could be said. So without design software, yes, you can use Render and use it for collecting those existing conditions, saving photos, referencing for parameters, of course, linking those to JobTread. But if the question was, can you use it with any other design software? Then yes, like I said, the DXF export, it's a pretty universal CAD export. It's going to go into just about any CAD software out on the market. Again, we like to have those enhanced integrations so that it's like a one-stop shop. Just kind of open it up and build your plan instantly. And those are the ones with 2020 and Chief Architect, and then a few others coming up here soon.
Awesome. Someone asked, where can they find a recording of this webinar? Do you publish
We will
those on your
be
website?
We will have them on our website. We'll have them on our YouTube channel, and we'll also be distributing this as well for anybody who's registered to this, we're going to do a follow-up. As soon as this video gets cleaned up, we'll make sure that we send this recording out as well. I did have a question here. So from Mike, is there a way to modify the report tab? There's no way to modify the reports tab in the app. Oh, I see Eric's answering this question. You're going to answer this question live?
No, no, it says answer it live, so you're answering it. Go ahead.
I'm answering live, yeah. The last scan encountered an extra toilet and left out a sink. That's an odd one. Mike, if you have that ever happen, or feel free to share that particular scan with me. We like to digest those scans to figure out perhaps what the phone saw. There's confidence levels that we've trained it to understand what it's looking at. I've never seen it miss a toilet or a sink, but if you had that happen to you, we'd like to learn more about why that did happen. Again, that's going to be something that, in that reports tab is going to be kind of locked and loaded. There's not going to be a way to edit those things. Ultimately, we want to see you edit those inside of JobTread. And that's perhaps one thing that we didn't go over is that you do have the ability to edit these particular quantities after they're already in JobTread. So if it's pulling a render parameter to inform a particular quantity, you have the ability to just update that quantity, right here if you wanted to.
And the neat thing, if you do make a modification here in the budget, and then you were to go back and want to pull in, the original data, it'll actually show you, what you have that's different from what's going to be pulled back in, and essentially would be, replacing it. So you have that option. So, if you ever did need to kind of revert back or, kind of want to pull in some additional stuff, you can see where you've modified your budget and where it differs from what Render has.
Yeah. Yeah, we had another question about parsing out rooms. So hopefully I answered that already with the question about the room-based parameters that'll be coming your way soon. You can scan separate individual rooms if you'd like, again, and sync multiple spaces. We kind of showed you how to do that kind of on this job dashboard here. You can sync multiple render scans to a particular job. So if you do have a kitchen that's scanned and then you have a laundry room that's scanned, you can add both of those things here. Use the prefix so that you understand which parameters are which ones, especially if you're doing different work in both of those locations. Perhaps one gets flooring, both get painted, and the other one has something else going on. Start to look through some of these other Q&As here.
I'll be curious to see where your booth is located. Hopefully, it's somewhere close to us. We're
It's relatively close. I mean, you've been to IBS, you know how massive those convention centers are. Um, hey, Cody, no availability on Android devices, at least in the near future. What we really want to see is a more wide adoption of LiDAR hardware inside Android devices before we release that to the Android side. Um, I'm a I'm a little bit of an iOS Apple cultist, so forgive me for saying this, but when Android catches up, that's when we'll have it. But we desperately want to get on Android. I mean, there are a lot of companies, great companies out there that are all Android based. It'd be great to give them a tool that didn't force them to the dark side of having to buy an iPad. But ultimately, a lot of our companies that are Android based do invest in an iPad Pro for their sales team. One for every person who goes out. At Cornerstone, we've got four of them. And that iPad Pro, even if you're Android based, that iPad Pro is a great tool to have. The reason why we say the iPad Pro versus the phone is because it's a huge tablet, so you can actually use it for a bunch of different things when you're on site. You can scan with it, export it to a PDF. You can use it to kind of mark up with an Apple Pencil, and of course you can save all that information. Um, and it makes it really helpful. There you go. It makes it
yeah.
really helpful for your sales team.
We really love this case too. It's a pretty cheap, like $20 case, but it's got like the little hand, little thing that holds it on there. It's really nice, but then it also has the ability to pop out, if you wanted to set it down. These iPad Pros, we use these like pretty much every time we go to like trade shows and booths. Like it's a really great tool.
Yeah, I absolutely. That's an awesome case, and maybe we'll follow up with a link for that case. But yeah, if you guys invest in an iPad, make sure it's an iPad Pro. You can buy them on Amazon. Gosh, they're it's when you think about the investment that we make in technology or investment that we make in other tools around our business, an iPad Pro ends up kind of in the wash when you're talking about the savings that you're able to get using this. So Mark was asking if you can move walls and change the layout of the bathroom. Not yet. Mark, there is a little bit on a roadmap where we'd like to give you the ability to kind of adjust walls and have that change. But at least for the foreseeable future, the idea for Render is to help you get that into design software. We didn't want to have our own, makeshift design software. So the idea was let's help our contractors get all of this information from Render and out into softwares that they already know and love. So JobTread and your CAD software, whatever it is. Um, Hey, so Brian, this is awesome. I scanned with Render six half bathrooms on a golf course. Hopefully, you got to golf while you were doing it. So a bunch of different holes there. You did all of that and the drive time in less than 1 hour, sent over detailed proposals to the owner in less than 2 days. Dude, that is phenomenal.
That's
Those
awesome.
are the success stories that we love to hear because speed to lead and speed to estimate are everything for us. If you guys have seen any of my other webinars that I've done about my own design build company, how we've optimized a lot of our sales process, a lot of our success in scaling from 2 to 8, now going for 10 million and not adding any more salespeople to our force is making our salespeople so much more efficient and getting to the no as fast as we can. So when you can prevent those leads from rattling around in your funnel for so long, and you can just have those conversations much faster, get them the estimates much faster, you're putting a lot of trust, building a lot of trust with that client, but you're also making sure that if they do not want to move forward with this job, you're not spending any more time than you have to, and you're getting that no as fast as you can, meaning that you're focused on jobs that are actually going to use your company for the work and benefit your bottom line. And that's the beauty of integrations just like this one.
I
No
see
golfing in
Bill.
20-degree weather. Yeah, no, I don't blame you, Brian.
So Bill had asked, what scale do they use when they try to scale the plans on JobTread? Is there a standard that that you guys have?
We actually talked with the JobTread team about this. So when we export these, we're going to try to export them in a specific DPI so that they're always scaled no matter what. So right now, this particular PDF export on this plan is not given an actual like scale, quarter inch, eighth of an inch, or so forth, just because we were trying to fit it all onto a single sheet of the 8.5 by 11 paper. But you can see on this that we do have the drafting paper as the background behind our floor plans. And those dark squares are every 4 feet and the little ones are 6 inches. So you can set the scale manually. But ultimately, what we'd like to see is have that automatically scale when we get it over to JobTread. So we'll continue to talk to their team about making sure that those are scaled in a way that, benefits you guys from not having to figure that one out on your own. Will Render ever replace Company Cam? Hey, Company Cam is doing a lot of awesome things. But I will say that if you do take photos on your initial site visits and haven't wanted to make the leap into Company Cam, you can see that I took some photos inside of Render. There's a spot for that here. Let me go back to one that I know there are photos. Oh, office and dog here. You can actually save some photos inside of your render space here, and all of these photos will upload into JobTread. They'll sync automatically. So if your team's out there taking photos, drop them in here, and when you sync the job, they will show up. So perhaps if you haven't made the company cam leap yet, this could help offset a little bit of that need at least right away. Let's see, Tony. With render being instantaneous, is your typical process to scan the project on an initial sales call and providing initial budget range on that first sales call, trying to sign the design agreement? There are a lot of companies that are doing exactly that. We scan on that initial site visit so that we can collect as much data as we possibly can without spending a whole lot of time. We're not going to sit there and sketch out the space and take all these measurements like we used to. It takes 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half. We scan with render in 2 minutes and then we're out the door. What we're taking with us is photos of the space. We've got all the measurements. It does help us get the design agreements out the door faster and more informed on budget. It also allows us to begin the design right away because now we don't have to send somebody back out to the home to take those measurements. Like I said, we're taking those with us. So all those measurements can go right into Chief Architect for us and we can begin designing right
Do you
away.
do you want to show how you can actually do the invite through here as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And Joanna, while I'm doing this, Joanna asked, what is the accuracy of the scans? There are competitors that note they're not 100%. So this is a great, I love this question because you're going to be as accurate as you can be with a mobile phone or a mobile device. And what I mean by that is LiDAR sensors in iPhones are going to be as accurate as just about any sensor out on the planet. We're going to be down in a single room scan. You're going to notice every measurement's going to be within an inch. Some large scans, like the one I showed you, that Airbnb, 2,000 square feet, you may notice 2, 3, 4 inches in some cases. And no, you don't know exactly where those are going to be, unfortunately. The AI that we've trained is making decisions on how to reconcile wall thicknesses and differences that it sees. The conversation that we have is usually it doesn't have to be as accurate as we think we have to be, especially not for what the tool that renders designed to be for us early on, right? So our goal is to make sure that we can get the measurements calculated much faster, get the design started much faster, and we're actually sending someone back out to the home, but only after we know the job is moving forward. That's the beautiful part. Part of the process thing here, and I'll show you how to do the invite to capture, is when we're scanning on site with a particular homeowner, we'll scan out with render. There will be some areas that we actually do grab measurements while we're there on site. Usually it's critical measurements, right? Inside the kitchen, we may scan an entire first floor, export to a PDF, and we'll shoot a couple measurements in the kitchen, right? We want to make sure that alcove or that kitchen sink window is drawn exactly right from the start, just so that we can make sure we're not, designing something that can't work in the space. But we're taking 2, 3, 4 measurements at the same pace, a faster pace than we would have been able to do before. And that way, when we get it into Cheap Architecture 2020, you can make a couple of those adjustments and then you're off to the races. But you can actually invite a homeowner here. You can actually have, if you're on the phone with a client who is, an hour away and they want to have a small renovation bathroom done, right? You can actually say, hey, what kind of phone do you, if you have an iPhone, do you have 3 cameras on the back? If they answer yes, oh, I love this. I'm going to send you an invite. If you have the ability just to scan your space really quick, it's really fun and it's really easy. You can actually just put their information in here, just put my information in, and you can send an invite. What this does is it gives the client an email with a link that says scan your space. It'll come with a message from me. So I might say here, make sure you scan your bathroom and why don't you scan your bedroom while you're at it. When that client gets the email, they'll open it up, they'll see my message, and it does all the work for them. It'll go to the App Store and download Render. It'll open the app up and say, "Hey, you've been invited to scan your space. AJ asked you to scan the bathroom as well as your bedroom." They hit yes. I'm going to go ahead and get started. They walk around with their phone, and as soon as they're done, you get notified that so and so from an hour away just scanned their space, and all of the data that is in here, all the photos, the floor plan, everything, that comes back and lives on your device, and you can actually have an informed conversation with them about the price of that particular project without ever needing to visit their home. And that is huge time savings, especially for those of us in areas where we're working 2 hours away from our office. I spoke with a few folks there at JobTread Connect, actually, where they do their ADU type of work, and they're going hours and hours away from their office. And what a tremendous way to be able to save them some money by having people out in the field scanning remotely.
And that attach invite to project.
The attach invite to project. So this is if you want to organize your particular space, right? So if you build inside of Render, we give you the ability to have projects. So this is just like, think of it as like containers, for multiple different scans. So we might have a particular home that we do first floor, second floor, and a basement bathroom. We might scan all three of those separately and just organize them within a project. When you see your spaces inside of JobTread, they'll be organized in that project. So you can actually search for that project and attach any of those scans, kind of it groups them all together. This is certainly not necessary. You don't have to attach it to a project, but if you'd like to, here, JobTread made it easy. You can select an existing project or it'll just name it whatever your JobTread job is already named. And that's what keeps it pretty congruent.
So I see Philip had asked, with pricing, I like the ability to invite a PM to scan. Which team
Yes.
members need their own account?
So when you invite, nobody needs their own account. So that's the beauty of it. So when we invite our project managers, it's just I have 4 licenses at Cornerstone, and yes, we pay for Render, even though I have I'm the CEO of Render. So Cornerstone has 4 licenses, and our office has those. But we'll invite project managers. They'll just scan. They just get an invite. They scan it, and then it comes back and lives in our admin account at Cornerstone. So they don't need their own accounts. Homeowners don't need their own accounts. That's the beautiful thing about it. Now, if you do want your project managers doing some more of the heavy lifting, or anybody out in the field doing their heavy lifting, right? I mentioned exporting to a PDF so that they can mark it up and make notes on it. If you want to give them the power to do those things and also, export, CAD files and things like that, that's when they would need their own account. But if you're purely looking at inviting project managers to do some scanning for you out in the field, you can send as many invites as you want through the day, and they'll get those invites and scan them, and they'll come back to you and make it to where you never have to leave your office again or your basement. I'm in my basement, so. So Andrew asked, how would the client scan when they go from room to room? No, they do not. You don't stop scanning. It's beautiful. You just walk through doorways. You can, as soon as you start scanning, you just kind of move around and you walk through doorways. You can walk into a bathroom and let it see everything in there. Walk out, walk into a closet, walk out. It'll map the entire floor plan all in one fell swoop. It's beautiful. I think we got most of the Q&A here. Uh,
Yeah, so I see Cody asked about the availability on Android devices, which you already mentioned. As soon as Android catches
yeah.
up, something you guys will look at.
Cody asked, I guess more a parameter question. Can you also compute tau bars and rings based off of sinks? I think you can. Tau bars maybe a little tricky. You have to find the correlation, but certainly tau rings. If you have a tau ring by each sink, a lot of times you can use the number of sinks parameter for calculating that as well. And if you do 2 tau bars when you have 2 tau rings, you can use the number of sinks for that as well. So good catch there. Good call. Let's see. David is asking a question about painting multiple rooms. Room names, yeah. So I think, David, hopefully we answered your question last week. This was from about a half an hour ago. David, hopefully my comments about the room-based parameters kind of answered this particular question for you. I wish we had the chat live so you could just give me a thumbs up on that. But ultimately, room-based parameters are coming soon. That's going to make your life a heck of a lot easier. But for now, it's the parameters being pulled off of the entire scan. So unless you save multiple scans and attach them to a job, it's going to use the entire space for those parameters. But pretty soon here, it's going to get a lot better for you.
I see Tony asked, is the cost of render part of the monthly JobTread fees, or is render fee separate from JobTread monthly fees? So they are two separate subscription fees.
Yes. And there's a beautiful thing about that. JobTread's pricing is kind of built so that other companies like Render, a company Cam, QuickBooks, and all of these other softwares can integrate. And you can almost build your custom software just because of JobTread's ability to integrate and play well with others in the space. So ultimately, if JobTread decided to do, be the one-stop shop, it wouldn't be beneficial for everybody because all of a sudden JobTread's charging you for all this money for things that you're not using. And that's why I think it's beautiful that JobTread's pricing is such that you can pick and choose other softwares that you'd like to have. And the nice thing about Render subscription is that it is per user, but ultimately you don't need it for your entire company. It's going to be for your salespeople. Whoever's going out to the site, scanning or taking measurements for those upfront measures. So if you're an owner operator and you're doing all the sales, you would probably just need one license. Ultimately, we'd like to see you kind of replace yourself. Can you hire more salespeople to do some of that work for you? And at that point, you might be looking at other licenses. Now, if you're on this call and you have 3, 4, 5 salespeople and you want to talk about the subscription price, give me a holler. I love to talk with companies that have solutions where they need multiple licenses, they need an account admin. Let's talk. I'm in this business not to make a fortune. I really want this tool that's helped my business thrive, especially through COVID and on out through. I want to give that power for a lot of other companies to succeed. It's something that I feel very passionate about. Eric, I know you do too. And I think that's why this integration works so well, is that we're really out there trying to make a difference, helping contractors get a little further ahead without the backbreaking hours, 80, 90-hour work weeks, just to make it through that next glass ceiling to see, hey, can I build a business that I can sell? Or can I build a business that, I can step away from and operate without all these, hours poured into it. So
Absolutely.
definitely chat with me. We're definitely up on time. I want to make sure I'm honoring everybody's time on this webinar. So I will make sure that I'll comb through the Q&A that I have here and make sure that I answer any unanswered questions in my follow-up. You guys will get an email from me that will have the webinar recording. So if you want to share it with your team, we'll also include the render parameters so that you have a copy of those. And I'll try to download a few of these templates for you as well and attach them to the email if you want to get started. And again, like I said, reach out to your JobTread customer success rep if you have any questions about the takeoff tool, best practices with parameters like outside of render, and they can have a lot more resources for you. But if you have specific questions about the render integration, how it works, and using the render parameters for specific things, you'll be able to respond to this email and get me. I'm not the expert. I don't know everything about it, so give me some grace. But ultimately, the beautiful thing is I am a contractor. I am a design build company owner. So at least when you're talking to me, you're talking like a one-on-one peer, and I'm hopefully able to answer a lot of the questions that you might have. But without spending too much more time here, Eric, do you have any final closing remarks on this?
No, I just, I just want to say I think that it's really awesome what you've built. I absolutely love, when I see people taking, real problems that they had and building solutions out of a needs basis. You didn't just kind of say, "Oh, I want to come up with something to do something or other." Like this was a real problem that you were having at Cornerstone. You solved your own problem, and now you're making it available to others at an affordable rate. I think it's awesome. Obviously it's same story over here. It's probably why you and I have connected, so well many a times and really share that same belief that we truly want to help everybody, win here. And there's enough of an opportunity where we can all, work together, create the best possible products with your feedback. AJ and his team are just as open to feedback as we are here at JobTread. And I think that's exactly the type of partner that we're looking for, is somebody who's going to continually improve and update based on our customers' feedback. And, again, you got the two heads of these companies working hand in hand to build the best possible solution. We truly believe that this is a game changer for the industry. And, we're so honored to have you as a partner, AJ. I really appreciate everything you and your team have done.
Yeah, same sentiment goes your way. And the last remark is anyone who's still on, we still got almost 100 people here on the webinar. You heard it here first, Eric. If you recall, when we launched this, you called me and said, "Hey, we've got the integration. It's in the tunnel. Test it out." And my ability to invite someone who was outside of my home to scan a space and drop it in and have an estimate delivered, like seriously, put together an entire estimate instantly from 30 miles away. That is the only solution on this planet that gives contractors the ability to estimate a project instantly without ever leaving their chair. There's not another solution out there. So when you say game changer for the industry, I truly believe that this is the first integration that you're going to see in this space that's going to give the contractors this ability. There's probably going to be plenty more to follow this, but it feels awesome to be contractors that just thought of like, gosh, it would be great to DoorDash my measurements to me. Like I don't have to drive all the way out there just to get simple hall bathroom. I just need them, quickly. So it's awesome to be able to do this with you, Eric. And I look forward to seeing you guys out at IBS. For all of you on this webinar, thank you for joining. Follow up with questions. Again, like Eric said, we love your feedback on both fronts. And certainly look for my email. And hopefully we see you guys at IBS. If you're going to be out there, come check us out. And love to see you and maybe even catch up afterwards for a drink. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate your time today, man.
Absolutely. Great job.
All right. Bye, guys.